Excuse me.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute. It's been a long summer. Actually been a summer from hell. We've got so much going on. I mean, I go to work just to take a break, and when I go to work, I'm working 50, 55 hours a week. So when I come home, it's like, you're smoked. And obviously it's summertime, so the whole aquarium hobby kind of slows down. But I see things are starting to change. We're starting to get back into it, and good times are coming. But the last video, you guys saw this tank right here, and it was filled with water right about there. And now you're probably wondering, whoa, where'd the water go? Because now, whoop, it's empty. Things were going good. I actually came by here the next morning, and I was checking things out, and I saw something right here in the corner. And we've all seen it. All you guys have seen that fatiguing in acrylic, and you're like, oh my God, what's going on? I mean, is my tank breaking? And these corners were absolutely perfect one time. I mean, they were ice clear. And then all of a sudden I saw what I saw. And, just like any guy, I went into meltdown. Because this is a 900 gallon tank, we're up halfway, 400, 450 gallons of water, call it. That's a lot of water weight. And we're on the second floor. So the last thing I need is this aquarium breaking in my home. So obviously, we quickly drained the water and kind of put ourselves into a safe situation, but oh yeah, I'm kind of stumped. I've been doing this for a long time, and I don't know why I'm in the situation I'm in. I have a little bit of suspicion. I might have possibly screwed up. I'm hoping I didn't screw up, but I'm going to have to show you exactly what I did find. So my screw up might help others out there, so I guess I'll take the hit on this one, and hopefully I can get this thing back to square one. I gotta believe we're probably always gonna have a little bit of crime scene right here in the corner, but it is what it is. So for those that are new to the channel, I'm probably gonna have to just give you a quick backstory. We've been working on this aquarium for a couple of years, and it's one of those things that, you work on it and then you stop, and then you pick back up, and then you stop, and now here we are. But things were really rolling. We were getting things done, and that's why I'm like, all right, what's the point now? Let's go ahead and fill this in up with water, because the filtration system, it's time. All the supply and return lines are underneath the belly of this tank, and all of that's pretty much wrapped up. So everything now is going to be down below the floor, and from there it goes to the filtration system. So, but for those that are new to the channel, let me just give you a quick backstory on the tank, so it makes a little bit more sense to you. So, man, I really hope I didn't screw this up. All right, so let's just get into it. Welcome back to the channel. This thing's 10 foot long, 3 feet front to back, 4 foot tall. She's a big tank. Stand is not actually the original stand. We had to modify it a little bit back in the day. This bar right here, this is new right here, and all of these bars going front to back. We actually had to make a cut. Hopefully I can throw some pictures up here from previous videos so you can see what the actual tank stand looked like and what we actually had to do. So we modified it. As you can see on this particular stand, there's no way of leveling it. It's just bar stock, 1 inch by 1 inch tubular steel. So there's really no way of doing any form of adjustment. Right above this actual stand is the original stand. I might be able to get up inside here. Kind of hard to tell, but well, let me see. Let me go on the end of the tank. I can't even do that. I got the finished carpentry on the end. All right, so let's get into this. You can see there's a level right on top. Right there, for the most part, she's level. Let me take this over here. I put this on the side of the tank. You can see we're level, no problems. Obviously it should be a match, but let me put it on the other side too. Flat on the side, you can see that right there, right up the side, 4 foot. We're level right there. There's a level over here. No problem. So you think right there, all right, no problem. We're level side to side, and we're level from left to right, no problems. Now, going back in time, this left side of the tank, I had to raise it up a little bit. So I'm going to zoom in right now. You'll see a 1/4 inch piece of bar stock right there under the lake. I had to raise that up so that we could be level from left to right. If you put the level, hold on a second, I want you guys to see this. I'm going to put the level on the very top. Actually, there's already level there. What am I thinking? You can see right here, we're level. There's no issues there. There's the whole top of the tank, 10 foot long to the other side. There's actually a couple of levels here, 4 footers. Let me show you the other end. All right, let me take you to the back side of the tank. This is where it gets a little bit crazy. There's actually a mirror on the back wall. There's a mirror right here on the right side of the tank, and there's a mirror on the back side. But look at this. It does not look like the other side of the tank. If I move the level and level the level, look at the difference. Am I level? Let me see. Let me get that squared up just right. Right about there. That looks pretty good. Look at the difference from the back side of the tank. That's probably 3/8 of an inch. I don't have my tape measure on because I can't only hold the camera in the level, but that right there is about 3/8 of an inch. So that's level right there. And look at the split. Look at the difference right there.
Oh, hell no!
Now, if that doesn't make you puke, I don't know what the heck would. And this is the same on the front side of the tank too. It's hard to get that one because I can't hold the camera in a level and get this close. Like, look at that difference. Now, why in the world would that be like that? And I bring this around and I come over here and I put the same level 10 feet away. You see? Flat against it. And we are level. So it's level right there. This end of the tank is level. Tank from left to right is level. And going back a couple years ago, I checked this. What would make you think to go to the other end 10 feet away and think that that would be different? I never did that. I mean, why would you? It's a big rectangle box, if you think about it, right? It's like a steel box. It's 1.5 inch thick acrylic. What would make you think that you'd have a difference from there to there? Now, I did have a difference from here to here because you saw the level was on there. And what I did probably 4 or 5 years ago was I put that bar stock there, and I raised up this side of the stand. Now, by doing that though, you know exactly what I did. I left a distance right underneath the stand. You see that little gap right there? That's like a triangulation pattern. And as you go further and further to the right, it gets narrower and narrower. How close is it? Let me get a piece of paper, I'll show you. All right, so obviously over here on the far left side of the tank, you can see a piece of paper easily slides completely under the stand. Matter of fact, it goes underneath this #1 bar. Real easy. Not even touching. So if I slide over to the next one, bay #2, I guess we'll call it. Slides in. No problem. Obviously, you start getting closer to bay #3. This seems kind of tight right there. Way back over here, there's the hose from filling it up. It looks like I can slide that in right there, no problem. Obviously, the back is up. So what I should have done is this little void that you're seeing here. Look at that, completely in right now. I should have had shim stock all tucked in up underneath as far as I could do it. Those shim stocks, I'm going to show you those here in a second. Those come in different thicknesses, obviously, down to the thousandths. And it should have been real light, pointed right here, all the way to the going to the left. And as I went further and further to the left, obviously the shim stock would have gotten thicker and thicker. This should have been filled right here too, and all the way down here. So what happened when I filled it? And obviously that didn't go down because it's locked in. This is 2 layers of 3/4 plywood. And this is sitting on steel I-beams up underneath. I don't think there's zero room or any movement downstairs. What happened here. But it also gets a little bit more trickier because when you put that weight on, Remember, because this right here, the original stand is behind this. So this is a 3/4, so the bottom of the tank is 1 inch. Then you've got the 3/4 plywood, and then you've got the original steel stand, which was 3 inches tall, right? That's a tubular steel stand, you know, full rectangle, 10 by 3, with all of its bars that are just like this, right on the opposite side of this plywood. I'll try to find a photo so you guys can see what that actually looked like. So there's multiple layers here. So even if you filled this and say that deflect, right? Say this did go down. But why would that? You wouldn't think that this would move. That part's a little tricky to me. Granted, it's not good. This whole thing should have been completely filled in from left to right. Because I did not do that, this is what happened. All right, so after thinking about this for a while, I think I know what the remedy is going to be. I got to take off this cover right here. There's a couple of screws that are behind it right here. That's going to loosen this up so this front cover will have the ability to move a little bit. The other thing, obviously you can see I've got the bottle jack right there, and right out the front of the house I've got a whole bunch of wood standing by. What I need to do is I got to come up with a kind of a contraption right here, and I have a couple 6x6s stacked here on this side of this bar, and also on the other side of the bar. I'm going to straddle this bar. We're going to beef up this whole area, and then we're going to put pressure up on this one post right here. Let me show you how this comes together. All right, so it's not the prettiest of things, but then again, it does not have to be pretty. As you can see, I've got it blocked up on the right-hand side, the left-hand side. We've got the bottle jack position, and that thing is a 12-ton, 24,000 pounds. We should be all right with that one. All right, so I had to take a putty knife. I had to get between the actual front panel tank here. You can see where we put liquid nail a long time ago. There's little spotches of it right there. Other one right down here. Now the front fascia board is free, so now we can actually move the aquarium. All right, so the reason why I had to pull up this front trim, I had to get to the shim, right? Here's the shim stock right here. There was a gap. Well, you can see the paper right here. So I can slide the paper in and out. That's directly underneath the acrylic. So there was a gap there a long time ago. I thought, well, what the heck? So what I did is I put a piece of shim stock right here, raising the plywood up. So we had a direct surface contact from the acrylic to the plywood. See, now you can see that original stand right there. We cut the legs off. So now here's the new top. Then we put a piece of plywood on it. There's the original top. There's the original plywood. And obviously the tank. Somebody glued the bottom of the acrylic to the 3/4 plywood. And then they ran screws from the plywood down inside, but there's actually screws going through this into this. And that's why we had no choice but to cut the legs off and take the whole thing as one big piece, and then obviously modify the stand and then put on the new plywood right there. Actually, right there is some screws that we put in. So that's my part right there. But there is actually screws down inside. But whatever the case, now, like I said, I had to pull this back to get to a couple of these that were right there that pushed up, creating a surface contact. But all that being said, why would I have to do that in the first place? Something obviously is tweaked. And that's why we're getting ready to jack this thing up. We're finally prepped and ready to go. So I'm going to put some pressure now on this bottle jack, and I'm going to remove this back shim, and I'm going to replace that shim that's way back there. You can see it up inside here. That one is about 1/4 inch thick. We're going to pull that out. We're going to bring this down real slow, and I'm going to replace it with these two thinners, probably half the distance. And when I do that, hopefully the tank will start to see a difference on the back level. Let me just go show you real quick one more time. So it all comes down to this right here. See how that level is not level? Pull it away, we're right about there. So hopefully by lowering down one shim, I guess the $1 million question is the tank going to rock backwards a little bit? So let's go find out. All right, so it's jacked up. There's the plate steel that was underneath the corner. And now the 4 new pieces are in there. Temporary. Let's go ahead and lower this thing back down. A little nerve-wracking. All right, this thing's giving me a run for my money. So what I've done in the last probably 15 minutes, I actually had to jack it back up because you saw just a few seconds ago there was 4 or 5 shims right here in this corner, and the original plate, the thicker one, was over there. When I lowered that back down, this gap right through here was massive. In fact, it was from the corner all the way down to about 4.5 feet. Like I could see easily probably halfway up, probably 2 feet. Well, tank's 3 feet wide, so 18, 20 inches in, I could see the tank literally floating. So I saw that, obviously I kind of panicked. So I jacked it back up. And when I did that, obviously that gap right there closed up. This one right here. If I look real hard, I can still see that the tank is up just a little bit. It's nothing compared to what it was 15 minutes ago. I mean, it was bad, really bad. So what I've done now is I jacked it back up, and now I removed this other one, which was up there in that front corner. So now the tank literally is right the way it was back, a couple years ago. The tank's completely sitting flat, or the stand's completely sitting flat on a 3/4 plywood. So we're in the original state that we were from day one. But now I'm starting to wonder that maybe it's only this corner right here, because everything around the perimeter of the tank is tight except for right here. So I think what I'm going to do is take the jack, slide it over. We're going to grab right here. We're going to push up just a little bit and put the shim stock right there, and hopefully after all this time that is the answer and everything tightens right back up. All right, so now I jacked it back up, so we're looking 1,000,000% better. I can still slide a little bit underneath. You can see I've got a piece of paperwork right here. Well, look, it stops there. So no more to the left. And as far as going to the right, it stops right about there. I'm about 6 inches away from the end of the tank. Granted, this piece of paperwork can go in. How far can I go here? That's about it right there. So call about 8 inches. 8 inches of paper can go in. Everything seems to be pretty tight now. I mean, we're touching over here all the way up to about there. There's a little bit of a gap right there, and then it tightens up all the way over. So we've come a long way. I can say that was bad. See, I can try to maybe zoom in. So look, there's not much of a gap now, if any at all. So I'm real happy with that. Now, I got a little bit of an issue on the opposite side. Let's go over there. All right, so I just took the cover off before, which you already saw. So now if I slide the paper over here, you can see we can really go in pretty deep. It stops right about there. As far as going to the right, stops right about there. So we did have some shims that were underneath the plywood right here. I just went ahead and removed them. But you can see, if I can possibly zoom in, that there's a gap right there. There's a space underneath that tank. Right there. You can see there's a space underneath there. Let me try to put some light on it. Right there. That is absolutely crazy. So just that little bit of a split right there. So now what we're going to do, obviously we're going to put some shims right here in this corner, raising up the corner of the tank, close that gap, and hopefully that works out well. Look at that. Crazy. Only thing I can think of is maybe the stand itself actually had a little bit of a tweak in it from back in the days when we welded it. All right, so we are now set up with the jacks on this side, as you can see. So we are going to focus directly right here on this corner, because all I really want to do is just put enough pressure to close this gap right there and then shim underneath the stand. I think this thing's tweaked just enough. I mean, we're down to the thousands, so obviously I'm getting a little crazy with this whole thing, but you do not, by no means, want a gap between the bottom of the acrylic and that plywood. You want direct surface contact, because eventually when that water goes in, it's going to push down and it will close this gap. And when it does close that gap, obviously you can induce pressure or stress into the actual acrylic, and that's why you get the fatiguing, which you saw earlier right there. So we got to close that gap. So let's go ahead and put some pressure on the jack and raise this up a little bit and see what happens.
Who knows? This humiliation could change my entire outlook on life!
Really?
No.